Grizzlies are officially in the swing of things, and college basketball begins on Monday, which means, yep, it's officially crossover season. Now, we've had a couple of looks at the Memphis Tigers already in their two exhibition games against number 9 North Carolina and number 2 Alabama. Both of those going down as losses, 84-76 to the Tar Heels and 96-88 to the Crimson Tide. But guys, single-digit losses and against quality opponents. Here's what Penny Hardaway learned about his team in those two games.
Yeah, against Carolina, it was more about execution because they executed really well. You know, Elliot Cadeau controlled the game. They were really solid on their communication. They played the typical shell defense. Against Alabama, they were dynamic, fast, strong, explosive, and they did what you call peel switching, which was just random switches, and it just made us have to think even more. So to be able to play those different styles in two back-to-back games was really good for us to put on film and see where we were.
Yeah, so you hear from Penny there about what he kind of got out of those two games. Obviously, two massive games to kind of start the preseason, if you will, and get a taste of what this season's going to be like, which for Penny, with a team where he's only got one returner, I think a really important test. What did you guys see from those games, and what do you think about where the Memphis Tigers team stands right now heading into the season?
Well, in the first half versus North Carolina, I really liked the way that they played together while not running any sets, as Penny said. The second half is where North Carolina kind of turned it on. Vice versa for Alabama game. You're playing up against the best defense in college basketball is what it looks like going into the season. And playing against that shell defense that is so difficult. You shoot 28% in the first half, and then in the second half, they go in there and they shoot 51%. So, I mean, if any team can shoot 51% in any half against Alabama, you're going to be happy about it. I think the big thing, they shot at the ball okay against North Carolina, talking about three-point shooting. But against Alabama, they were 1 of 14 from three. So you do not. Well, this team is very adept at shooting threes. We've seen that in the past with these guys, PJ, Colby, Tyrese, all the best three-point shooters on their teams coming to Memphis. We need that three-point shooting percentage. So what Penny did was he funneled everything into the paint, and that's why you see 54 points in the paint versus Alabama. He liked how many points they scored in the paint versus North Carolina. That was one of the things that he keyed off of after the game. And Dane Danger being one of those guys. Dane had 16 points against Alabama, 7 rebounds. PJ showing out with 32 points. It seems like he's going to be the guy. I mean, they really keyed their offense through him, and Tyrese was kind of that secondary player. So I want to see Tyrese Hunter get more involved.
It was interesting to me that you're listening to the broadcast of the game, like you hear the rumors, like are they not counting fouls? And then you find out they really actually are not counting fouls. And so I thought that was an interesting dynamic just to see how physical the Tigers defense would be. And what we've seen from them last year and the year before, that they have an identity of being a very a very physical team. They're going to get in your craw. They're going to pressure you. And we talked to Penny today. Penny did say he talked a lot about just being able to pressure other teams and seeing how his team responded to that. But from an offensive perspective, I was honestly disappointed. I mean, I think they were getting good shots, and the shots just weren't going down. But what we saw was that, particularly with PJ Haggerty and with Tyrese Hunter as well, is like they're having to create kind of tough shots. Mm-hmm. They're having to create off the dribble, which I think is not something that they have the ability to do, but Penny Hardaway is not something that he wants to become a normal thing. And yeah, PJ Haggerty had 32 points. Right. He also shot, I think, 9 of 22, 8 of 22. Yeah. And on top of that, because they're not counting fouls, I think somebody said he had 8 fouls in that game. If you only get 5, you're not getting to 32 points. And, you know, to my perspective on it as well is like Alabama kind of called the dogs off just a little bit. Yeah. And that's how you end up with a single-digit loss as opposed to losing by 15. Because, I mean, we saw Alabama jetted out to a 20-point lead in that first half. And it looked like they were in control most of the game. I never felt like they were threatened. But I mean, let's say like it's a top 2 team in the country. And so for Penny Hardaway, it was a measuring stick.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, what I take from that is they were able to hang with those teams. Obviously, like you mentioned, Alabama might have called the dogs off a little bit and might not have been really going at it as hard. And obviously, fouls play a big impact in not having to call them. But I think for me, if I'm a Memphis Tigers fan, I've seen my team go up against North Carolina and Alabama, 2 top 10 teams, and hang with them. Were they perfect? No. Did they win? No. But is there enough to kind of show that there's something to go off this season? Yes. And that's, I think, important as you look ahead to where the season begins, which is Monday.
Yeah, and I would prefer them I like that they had these 2 exhibition games against top-tier opponents because you are going to have that caliber opponent in the non-conference. And when we talked to Penny today, he's like, he wants to put more emphasis on the AAC, and he needs his team, which we saw last year, they didn't take them as seriously. The players didn't take the AAC schedule as seriously, but what they do take seriously is the non-con, and when you know you're going to face teams like a UConn, that's important. So the Tigers begin their season at home, hosting Missouri on Monday at 7 p.m. in the Forum. Meanwhile, preseason number 24, Ole Miss, also at home on Monday at 7:30 against Long Island University, and Memphis women's basketball team tip off the season at 11 at home against Mississippi Valley State. And the preseason number 20 Ole Miss women's team are playing in France, against number 3 USC and Juju Watkins, so that ought to be fun. So yeah, basketball is certainly here.
I just want to say this. I'm glad that the Tigers are kind of flying under, the men's basketball team is kind of flying under the radar right now because not having that much pressure on them when I know Penny is putting pressure on them in a good way, not having a lot of pressure from the fan base right now is really good for this team. I feel like it really hurt the team last year, but I expect, even though these 2 games were not great, I feel like you can learn so much from these 2 games, like y'all were saying. And I'm very excited. I'm really excited about the season. Maybe I need to temper my expectations a little bit, but I got to say, I love Danger, guys.
Is that why you chose to wear the color blue today?
Well, this isn't tiger blue. Yeah, this is
It's pretty close.
No, it's not tiger blue. Where's tiger blue? This is tiger blue. Yeah, this
Tomato
is
shade
this is
of
Golden
blue.
State blue.
Golden State, of course. Everything comes back to Golden State.